Let us
Yeah, I think I've understood most of the things.
okay. Let us discuss about conducting a meeting. Okay. For conducting a meeting, if you can realize that for conducting a meeting, why we need to conduct a meeting? What is the purpose of it? So, what can be the purpose? Generally, why we conduct a meeting? Maybe we want to make all the participants understand on a particular concept in the same way, so that they can implement it or they can actually follow it with the clarity. That is what it is, right? And the description of conducting a meeting, if you want to understand how we conduct a meeting, is initially we have one let me say we will have one platform to conduct either online or we can make it a conference room. Then we will like what for we are conducting a meeting, we should have that agenda, and we will communicate the meeting, and while communicating there are various techniques what we can use there. So the description is either we do it online or we can do it in a conference room, that we can make it happen and we can communicate what we want to communicate to all the participants and then invite them, so and conduct the meeting. This is what we can do in the what we can write in the description part. And coming to the inputs, like agenda of the meeting, participants list, date and time, and one more input we can add now, whether it is a venue, it can be even online as well. Okay, so that extra we can add it here, right? And then coming to the elements, so what can be the elements? What we try to identify the need to conduct a meeting, what is the agenda, then the participants list, then we will send this meeting invitation, then the discussion points, then conduct meeting, prepare MOM and action items assignments. This is what we do. And generally, this is the elements where we can come across. And output is like we conduct our meeting is being conducted, minutes of meetings will be there, and action items will be there. Coming to the techniques, now you can see that techniques can be like video conferencing, or it can be a con call, or a meeting room booking, or mind mapping, brainstorming. Like these are the various techniques which we will be using it there, right? And guidelines. Now guidelines means guidelines and tools, like what facilities are available, and are we so here we have to follow the company policies as well, and then the availability of the participants, that actually have to look into them, and the skills and knowledge of the participants, we have to consider them. So all this comes into the guidelines and tools. And then the stakeholders, like the staff members who will be part of it, and or the participants, and the third party tools providers who can provide tools for this to facilitate this particular meeting, we can consider them. Got it? So I think this is more appropriate and near to what we are going to discuss now on the business analysis front. Okay, conducting meeting, if you can understand conducting meeting as a task, this is how we can make it up. Hope you got clarity, because I want you guys to understand the purpose, what is the description, what will be the inputs, what are the elements, and what will be the outputs, and what techniques we are going to use for it, and what are the guidelines and tools, and who are the stakeholders. This is very, very important for us. If you can have a feel of this particular task, because all knowledge areas are described through tasks. Therefore, now we are going to discuss. Now we are going to understand tasks only. Now we are going to understand tasks only. So for that reason, it is very, very important for us to understand this task structure. Fine. Hope you got it. What I'm trying to tell you, you got it. You got an understanding of it, how a task can be understood through this particular structure. Okay. Now let's come back to our discussions. Like, okay, we have this business analysis, planning and monitoring. In business analysis, planning and monitoring, we have 5 tasks. Okay, in business analysis, planning and monitoring, we have 5 tasks. What are those 5 tasks? 5 tasks are business analysis approach. We have to plan business analysis approach. Then stakeholder engagement, how we are going to make the stakeholder engagement. And then we have to do with this plan business analysis governance. That means what is the framework of the business analysis, that governance we have to keep it. And then business analysis information management. That means what all information we create, how we are going to manage it, where we are going to keep that central repository, and who will have access to it. All that is given in the business analysis information management. And then we will have this okay, we have to identify the business analysis performance improvements. Now we have to identify, first of all we have to come up with this key performance indicators, and then how to improve on it, then we will address it. So these are the 5 tasks which are there in business analysis planning and monitoring. Now let us discuss these. If your knowledge area will take a few inputs and it gives outputs. Okay, so here needs and the performance objectives are taken as inputs, and the outputs for each task one output is been defined. Okay, and the next for this we have to apply BACCM. Now I think I can give this as a homework for you, because already we have seen BACCM, business analysis core concept model. We have to map this onto the 6 areas, and we have to understand what is BACCM for business analysis planning and monitoring. You do it as a homework, and if you have any questions, that we'll discuss in tomorrow's class. Fine, got it. And let us discuss the first one, that is plan business analysis approach. Now please understand, you should keep in mind that framework. You should keep in mind that framework of what a task has. What a task has, number one, it has the purpose, then it has a like a description, then it has inputs, then it has elements, then it has outputs. Then we will discuss about these techniques, then guidelines and tools, and then we will be discussing about the stakeholders. So all the 8 sections will be there for each task. This is the first task which we are going to now discuss on. So hope you have your expectations now in a right way. Now before I discuss about a plan business analysis approach, I want you to just give your thought process of how we can plan business analysis approach. Now just for understanding purpose, how you can plan business analysis approach, just in your own words. It can be wrong, not a problem. I want your contribution, how it can go. Just think about plan business analysis approach. How we can plan business analysis approach?
Understand the current state first, initially. Then understand what is the requirement.
Okay.
Accordingly sort out all the constraints. And then finally build the plan.
Okay, in one way what you have said is correct. Okay, but that whatever you said is, it comes under strategy analysis. Strategy analysis is current state understanding and defining the future state and how we are going to go there. That is strategy analysis. Okay, now business plan business analysis approach. Plan business analysis approach means how we are going to do your business analysis. How we are going to do your business analysis, that is what we have to plan now. Okay, what is the approach towards doing our business analysis? Okay, so here when you want to understand about business analysis approach, on what parameters it actually depends on, you need to understand it first. Okay, we need to understand on what parameter it is going to depend on first. Okay, I'll let us go through each slide. So the first one is what, as I've been telling you, the purpose and the description. So purpose says that here we need to, what for we have to plan this approach is that okay, we have to understand if any initiative is given, how we are going to do our business analysis. First of all, we need to understand if it is this, we have to do it in this way. If it is that, we have to do it in this plan. I'll tell you, basically our software development approach, if you can understand, the software development approach is dependent on, okay, the software development approach, if you see, it is we have 2 approaches in the software development. Okay, those 2 approaches are, one is predictive approach and the other one is adaptive approach. We have 2 approaches. Predictive approach means the best example you can consider your waterfall model development. That means, you know, the first initial requirements gathering, then the analysis, then the design, then the coding, then the testing. It goes, you know, the procedure in a systematic way. And the second approach is adaptive approach. A simple example is agile. Now every time a new requirement comes, and you'll just work on that requirement. So it's like you will be adapting to the incoming changes that happens, or incoming whatever the user stories comes, we'll start working towards it. There will be no big plan about it. Okay, so we in approaches we have two approaches. One is predictive approach and the other one is adaptive approach. So basically we need to understand this. If it is predictive approach, we have to our approach will be in one way. If it is adaptive approach, our approach would be, our means business analysis approach will be in a different way. So this we need to understand it here. Got it? Clear on this? Okay, now if you can clearly understand, okay, this particular the purpose to plan business analysis approach is to define an appropriate method to conduct business analysis activities. Okay, so we have to first of all create them. Okay, this, if it is this method, we are going to do in this way. If it is waterfall, I'm going to do it in this way. If it is rad, I'm going to do in this way. If it is scrum, I'm going to do in this way. Like, first of all, we should come up with those methods. That is what approach means. Okay, now let us understand how we are going to make it up. Okay, our business analysis approach, we should align it to the overall goals of the change. It's so what are the change we are going to make it, it should align with the overall goals of the change. And we should coordinate with the business analysis task with the activities and deliverables of the overall change. And it includes like tasks to manage any risks that could reduce the quality of the business analysis deliverables. And we have to impede on the task efficiency, like we have to improve on that. And we have to leverage approaches and select techniques and tools that have historically worked well. That means previously what are guidelines we have, we can actually look into it. Okay, we can actually look into those guidelines, okay, that we can make it happen. Right here it is very important for us to understand business analysis approach means we, whatever change we are going to make it up, it should be in that mode. Okay, got it? So we should align to the overall goals of the change, and we should coordinate the business analysis tasks with the activities, okay, and the deliverables of the overall change. And we should include tasks to manage any risks that could reduce the quality of the business analysis deliverables. Okay, and we should select techniques and tools which worked out well previously, so that we can understand it. So these things we have to keep in mind when we are working on this okay, when we are working on a business analysis approach. Okay, now that is how we can make it up. We can see this what techniques previously worked out, that we have to use it. And next is okay, so that is what we have been discussing about it. And if you see the business analysis planning approach, okay, here we have this guidelines and tools. You can see that a structure is here, input is given, output is given, and guidelines and tools are given. Extra, apart from it, what extra needs to be added to this is what we have to add elements here. Elements and the stakeholders is extra what we have to discuss on. Okay, the inputs of plan business analysis approach is the needs. We have to take the needs and we have to take it forward, and the output would be business analysis approach would be there. And the guidelines and tools what we are going to use here, like we have to understand about business analysis performance assessment, then business policies, then expert judgment, then methodologies and frameworks, then the stakeholder engagement approach. All these we have to consider, and then we have to plan the approach. Okay, and now let us try to understand the inputs what we are going to take. Inputs would be the needs. Inputs is the need. Need means we need to understand the current context of doing the business analysis approach. Okay, like what is the problem we have, and what is the opportunity we are going to actually understand and take it forward. And so at that time we need to understand the existing scenarios and all the parameters that influence this particular situation, we need to consider them as inputs, and they form the part of our needs. They form the part of our needs, and these are the inputs which are going to consider. Okay, and then let us try to understand the elements. Elements means the process in which we actually do it. Now this can be independent, or this can be like a one of sequential. You can do it, or you can do it parallelly as well. So any sort we can do it. First is planning the approach. Okay, now planning the approach means here the best thing is that we have to understand okay, whatever we plan that particular tasks, we should ensure value is delivered because of this particular task. We should ensure that value is being delivered because of this particular task. And here we need to understand that whatever plans we will be doing it, that plans should have that adaptability to change, if at all, if new collaborations models comes into picture or new changes come into picture, we should be able to change these plans as well. So that planning, because as per the changing in the collaborative model, here as well we should also change our business analysis approach as well. So our plans should be in such a way that it should change at any point of time. It can change at any point of time, that we have to ensure it. Okay, so here we should understand predictive approaches and adaptive approaches, what we can do in predictive approaches and what we are going to do in adaptive approaches, that we are going to see it here. And sometimes based on the context, we can use two different approaches in the same initiative. That can also happen. Okay, a few things we can do it in a traditional way, a few things we do it in an agile way, like that we can also make it happen. Okay, and when we are doing when we are planning our approach, we should keep in mind our organizational standards, and what is that they have been what is the tolerance levels of uncertainty, and what exactly previously worked out and what did not work out. If you can consider it, then our approach will be so good. Okay, and then we will be looking into changing business conditions and newly raised issues may trigger replanning and updates. That's what I've been telling you. Like at any point of time, we should be in a position to change our structure of approach due to the change in the concerning parameters. Okay, next, the first one what we have discussed is planning approach. So planning approach may we have to understand that it should be open to change at any point of time. The second one is formality and a level of detail of business analysis deliverables. That means how we are going to understand it. So here the first thing is that once again we have to consider that predictive and adaptive approaches. Based on it, this will also change. And what extra we will be understanding it is that for this formality and level of detail of business analysis deliverables means which stakeholder is at what level, what sort of information is required by the stakeholders. That is what we are going to consider it here. And it's like okay, it's like how we are going to inform. Like let me say that different stakeholders have different levels of interest in this particular project, and they will access the information at different levels. So we should be having an idea at what level they sit and what sort of information they'll be interested in concerning this business analysis and the project, and what influence they can make, so that we have to understand it. Okay, so here what we have to see is that what is the complexity and the risk level of change what is there because of it. And we should actually adhere to the regulations and contracts or agreements what you have signed. And we should consider the geographically distributed stakeholders, how we are going to communicate with them and be in touch with them, and who are the outsourced resources and how they are going to contribute, and in which level these resources will have access to the data. And we will be also looking into that formal sign up, how it can happen, and who is going to give that sign up. And here we have to understand how we can reuse requirements. So if a requirement is reusability of a requirement, till what extent we can use it, that we have to understand here. Okay, and the next one is business analysis activities. Now as a business analyst, what we are trying to do is that so we need to identify this what activities we are going to do it. Now all our business analysis activities is directly influenced by the the project methodologies and models which they actually do. Based on it, our business analysis approach also changes. So here we have to adapt to that SDLC, software development lifecycle, which the current project is adopting to. Based on it, we have to make it into make it adaptable to those particular approaches. Okay, so here we have to, for each approach, we have to identify the activities required to complete each deliverable, and breaking each activity into tasks, that how we are going to make it up, and dividing tasks into iterations, and identifying deliverables for each iteration, and identifying associated activities and tasks. Okay, and then using a previous similar initiative as an outline and applying detailed tasks and activities unique to current initiative. That means what exactly works out in this particular approach as business analysis, that we have to understand it. Okay, sometimes we may be like suppose if it is a waterfall model approach, then we will be like sorting the requirements, conducting workshops, requirements workshops will be conducting with them, and we'll be discussing about it, and customer collaborations will happen. They give different ideas, so that goes in one way. Suppose if it is a agile, the discussions are confined to user stories when you are developing in the sprints, and any challenges are there, so that improvements log will be discussed. So here there is a variation in the approaches of a business analysis task if the methodology or the model of development changes. So we have to keep in mind in each approach what sort of the methodologies, what sort of business analysis works we are going to make it up. And the timing of the business analysis work, it is very important that determine when tasks must be performed, if the level of efforts needs to vary over the time. That means it's not exactly like whatever you want, wherever you want, you can't actually work on it. It's like based on the context and situations and the urgency of the requirements of the deliverables, we will be contributing our work in that particular area. Okay, so we need to understand a business analyst where he can work. Now let me say after the development is done, then you can't do business analysis on the functionality of that application. That is not possible. Initially we need to understand the requirements, and then we have to understand how these requirements can be mapped out to a solution, how we can drive it. That way it is possible. Okay, and here if you see, next is like complexity and the risk we have to understand when we are planning anything. What is the risk factor involved, and what is the complexity of doing this business analysis approach? We need to have an idea about it. Okay, so based on it, we have to break down into multiple tasks, subtasks, and then we should start working on subtask. If your approach, what you have built is more complex, then at the subtask level you can start actually having the risk parameters included there. Okay, and then we have to understand about this okay, acceptance, how the what we say your team is going to accept this business analysis approach, how your company is going to accept this, how the client is going to accept it, how all the key stakeholders are going to accept it. First of all, we need to understand that what is the process or procedure, what they do to accept it, and based on it we have to design this approach and then get it actually approved by these key stakeholders. Okay, and once it is approved, we have to follow it. And here possibly most of the times a business analysis approach will have a methodology. Based on it, we can say if it is a waterfall model, we are going to come up with so and so documents, so and so diagrams, so and so kind of thing. We will be giving them initial and approach of it. Okay, so this is what we have to do it. Now if you want to summarize it, okay, here we have these 6 points. Okay, if you want to summarize it, these 6 points, if you want to understand, okay, it is like number 1 is planning the approach, second one is a formality and level of detail of business analysis deliverables. Okay, and the third one you will be seeing about business analysis activities, and the fourth one is a timing of business analysis work, and the fifth one is a complexity and risk involved, and the sixth one is acceptance. These are the elements which we have in the business analysis approach. Okay, fine, you got me. I want you to just note down the elements of it. Number one, planning approach. Please write it in your notes now. Elements are, what is that? Number one, you have to planning approach. Please write down this. Number one is planning approach. Number two, formality and level of details of business analysis deliverables. Okay. And number three is business analysis activities. Okay. Number four is timing of business analysis work. Five is complexity and risk. Six is acceptance. Six is acceptance. Fine. Did you write it? Plan business analysis approach. These are the 6 elements which we have. Okay. If you have written it, please send it back.
The second one is formality. The full. I just.
Formality and a level of detail of business analysis.
Detail.
Detail.
Okay. Okay.
You want me to tell the third one?
No, the rest of the things I've got it.
Okay.
The first one is planning approach. Second one is formality and level of detail. That's it.
All right. Of business analysis deliverables. Of business analysis deliverables. Okay.
Okay.
So if you have written it, please send it across.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, I've seen it. Right. Now, why I'm insisting on this is that because elements form a major contribution when we actually think about this particular planning approach. Planning approach these are the elements which we actually do it. Okay. Now we have to weave a story around it. That means we have to take a case study and start working towards each one of these activities. Then only we will get into the mode of understanding it in detail. Theory will be little different from once you start working on it. Okay, got it? So since we have gone through it, okay, the next one we will be seeing the guidelines and tools. When you see the guidelines and tools, now when you're going to plan your approach, you should keep in mind business analysis performance assessment, how we are going to do business analysis performance assessment, how we are going to do that, you have to keep in mind. And also business policies, they will influence a lot in this. Okay. And then okay, when you actually go with the techniques like expert judgment, I don't think it is the techniques. Stakeholder engagement approach, these are all guidelines and approaches. And here the techniques comes under brainstorming. Okay, then what approaches we can actually come, what techniques we can use here is brainstorming. We can use to identify what activities, what techniques, what risks we are going to do it. So brainstorming we can use. And business case means what is the need. Actually business cases the needs are being discussed, what is the need and what will be the approach and what will be the solution that is given in a business case. So business cases you can consider. Document analysis, because most of the times your requirements or the procedures or the methodologies is given through documents only. And then the estimations means to do this particular business analysis activities, how much time it is going to take, that we have to understand it. And financial analysis, actually financial analysis generally we don't do it at this point, but anyhow these people, because they would have thought of very big projects and very critical projects, in such cases financial analysis comes into picture. And functional decomposition, yes, the entire the requirements and the functionality and the approach we can actually decompose it. And then interviews, like we can conduct interviews with various stakeholders and understand how we can actually make it up. Item tracking, that is what we have to see because we will be like estimating even our performance indicators as well, and lessons learned, okay, process modeling and reviews, risk analysis and management, scope modeling, surveys or questionnaires, workshops. Okay, all this will be considered. And the stakeholders who are involved here is a domain SME, project manager, regulator, and sponsor. Only these four would be there. And the output is the business analysis approach. And the business analysis approach, if you see what it contains, is that like who performs these activities and work timing and sequencing, deliverables, techniques that may be used. All this will be the business analysis approach. Okay, and this approach will be integrated to the overall approach, or it can be independent as well. So it can go in multiple modes. Okay, fine. Here in business analysis approach planning, and business analysis approach planning is how we are going to do our business analysis. We have to actually understand in this particular context. Fine, got it. So here it's like how to do our business analysis means, first of all, what business analysis work we are going to do it, that we have to keep in mind. For that, the best thing is we will open up this so yesterday as well I've shared with you, I've shown you this document, right? Here business analysis approach. Okay, business analysis approach may what exactly is considered is what is the approach we are going to do it. Is it waterfall? Is it agile? Is it hybrid? Like that. First of all, this should be considered as inputs. Then based on it, we will come up with the approach. Got it? We will plan our work in that particular way. Hope you got an idea what we are trying to do here in the business analysis approach planning. Got it? Okay. And the next one is yeah, we have a question here. Okay, fine. Now let's move on to this the second one, that is plan stakeholder engagement. Now since we know the structure of it, plan stakeholder engagement in a broader way, what we are trying to do is okay, we are going to understand who is our stakeholders and how we are going to work with them, what is the process in which we are going to be in touch with them, and how we are going to take inputs from them, how we are going to communicate our ideas with them. That way we are going to discuss here. Okay, that is plan stakeholder engagement. So who are the stakeholders who are involved? We need to understand their characteristics, features, like where they prefer to meet and how what areas they have more interest in. So and what is our communication approaches, and what is the collaboration mode which we are going to do it, and how we are going to in the stakeholder engagement plan only we should understand like who are the decision makers, or what level these people will make an influence. We should be having an idea about it. And here if you see, okay, to plan the stakeholder engagement, the first one we will take as input is needs, and the second input would be like the previous task input, that is business analysis approach. So business analysis approach you take, and the needs you take as inputs, and then you will plan stakeholder engagement, and the output would be stakeholder engagement only. Okay, and now while you're doing it, the guidelines which you need to understand is business analysis performance assessment and the change strategy and the current state description. Based on it we will be doing it. Okay, so here we need to understand the inputs. Already we have whatever the previous cases, those we have taken as inputs now. And the elements is we have three elements here. Perform stakeholder analysis. That means you have to understand, you have to identify the stakeholders, their roles, their attitudes and decision making authority, and the level of power or influence, what impact these people are going to make it. That is the first element which you are going to make it up. And then in identifying the stakeholders, what you have to do, you will be writing it. Okay, so in identifying the stakeholders, we have to collect their characteristics as well. Along with the stakeholders, we have to collect their statistics as well. and we have to understand till what extent we have to communicate with these people and what inputs we have to take from it, and if changes are coming, whom we have to actually reach out to. All this we have to understand it here. And then we will also be looking into this the stakeholders, may not only the internal stakeholders, we have to identify the external stakeholders as well. Internal and external stakeholders we have to identify, both of them we should identify. And sometimes external stakeholders inputs or external stakeholders influence will be there in the project as well, so we should consider them as well. Fine. And then we will be having we need to identify the stakeholders, like what roles they are going to play, like so those rules we should be. Now let me say that guy, a few stakeholders would be nominated. The role they play is very very important, like they will be like the decision makers, like they take the ownership of the project in some cases, or some few people would be the process owners. In such cases we should actually know till what level and authority they are, so based on it we have to take it forward. Okay. And we should know the attitudes, um, so that we will actually interact with them in the right way, and we will not get ourselves into any sort of risk, because if you don't understand what kind of person the stakeholder is, and we try to communicate with all the stakeholders in the same way, sometimes it misfires. Therefore we need to understand the characteristics features of the stakeholders and then plan accordingly, and then we can take it forward. For that we need to understand them. And here we need to understand what is the attitude of these stakeholders with respect to their business goals, objectives, and what is the proposed solutions, what is their what is that they need to do with it, and what they understand about business analysis, and what is the level of interest they have in this particular change, and how they actually see the sponsor, and how they are going to, what is their mindset or what is their attitude towards this team members and other stakeholders. So what is the collaboration level, that we need to understand it. Fine. And then we have to identify the decision making us and the level of power set which they are. We need to identify and understand them. And then we have to see the how we are going to go for the collaboration mode. Collaboration mode means how we are going to, okay, collaboration mode means in what way we are going to collaborate with these stakeholders, like internal stakeholders and external stakeholders, and in the mode of collaborating, what is the engagement plan we have, and what instructions we are going to actually give to these people, and what we are going to expect from them, and where they are going to influence it. This collaboration model we have to plan accordingly, and then we have to take things forward. All right. And then we have this okay, so while planning the collaboration, we need to understand about the timing and frequency, the location, and the available tools, and then the delivery method, such as in person or virtual. Okay. And then we need to understand the planning considerations. Okay, we have to document them. And a few things we have to refine as and when we are interacting with a concerning stakeholder. If their characteristics are different and their expectations are slowly different, then we should adapt to our to the continuous changes.